morning, friends. Today we would be doing some updates which have taken place on various environment, biodiversity, and climate change issues, and topic of desertification, land degradation, and drought. So, related, there are some conventions, there are some meets which were held recently. There are some reports which were published recently. For example, India ka desert land degradation report was published by ISRO in June. So, we will deal with all those aspects in today's class. Okay, so yesterday I had told you that today would be the last class on environment, but जितना मुझे कंटेंट लग रहा है, like there are more things that I have to cover. I may need to take one more class. माने ozone layer depletion and what do you call the other thing? Environmental impact assessment. Those are two topics which I haven't done yet in this booklet. So I may need to take one more class on environment, but that would be final last one. So today, let us start with first the updates on various things before we jump on to the desertification related aspects. So we had in our previous classes, we had covered various IPCC reports. Recently, on 9th of August, another major IPCC report was published. So while we have already discussed what IPCC is, briefly I'll remind you, it's an organization which is focused on studying the already published research papers, international journals, to give you a conclusion related to climate change. So every 7-8 years it publishes an assessment report, big assessment report. So the 5th assessment report was published in 2014. 6th assessment report is being published in 2021-22. Like 6th assessment report will have 3 parts. So uska ek part has been published in August 2020, August 2021, and remaining 2 parts would be published in February and March 2022 respectively. So we have already discussed the other reports, other facts what IPCC does in the previous classes. Here we'll just talk about August 9 report, the report which was published in August 9. It was the first part of the 6th assessment report. The report is called Climate Change 2021, the Physical Science Base. So basically, there are 3 working groups which are in IPCC which are working on this IPCC assessment report. And of this 3, the first one is dealing with scientific basis of climate change. That is the science behind climate change. How are we so conclusive that it is humans who are responsible for this climate change? All those aspects would be dealt by, is being dealt by working group 1. So this is working group 1 which has published this report, whose work has been published as Climate Change 2021, the Physical Science Base. There are 2 more working groups. Working group 2, which will be looking at impacts, vulnerabilities, and adaptation issues. There is working group 3, which will be dealing with action that can be taken to combat climate change. Their reports would be coming in the coming year, that is in 2022. Fine. Now, if you look at, so we already know that lots of countries are members of IPCC. A lot of scientists work with IPCC on a voluntary basis. Thousands of scientists work with IPCC on voluntary basis. So to prepare this report, the report that we'll be talking about in today's class, there were 234 scientists from 195 and 195 different governments who have approved, who have worked on this report. They went through 14,000 research papers to finally compile this thing. And they say that this is most up-to-date physical understanding of climate system and climate change. Since 2014, there's a lot of technological advancement that has taken place. Since 2014, there are lots of other research papers which have been published about climate change. They are saying that now this is more foolproof. This data, we can say all these things more convincingly than what we used to say in 2014. And what are the key highlights? What are the key things the report is saying? First is, rise in global temperature was a direct result of Even earlier we used to say this, the rise in global temperature is a result of human activities. But we used to say most of its contribution, or most probably. This time the report is unequivocal about it. This time the report is, it is human activity which is responsible for rise in global temperature. There is no doubt that most of the observed warming of the planet since the 1800s is caused by. This is the first key thing in the report. Almost no doubt is there. It is us who have caused global. Fine, this is the first aspect. Second, the report says that in last 438 months, in 1 year we have in 1 year we have 12 months. So 438 कितने साल हो गए? 30, 40, 12 चौक 48, 35, 30, between 30 and 40 years. In last 30, 40 years, we haven't seen a single cool month. Now, please understand here when we are using the term cool month, now you would say ki sir 2019 December and 2020 January were among the coldest that we saw in Delhi. Here we are talking about average earth temperature, and we are saying that there hasn't been a single cool month. Again telling you that warming is peaking. Third, the global temperature has already risen by 1.1 degrees Celsius when compared to pre-industrial temperature. Like in the period 2010 to 2019, when we look at the global average temperature, it was 1.1 degrees Celsius more than the pre-industrial era. What is Paris Climate Agreement targeting? Maximum 2 degrees Celsius rise, and we should strive to prevent it, reduce it only to 1.5 degrees Celsius. This is what who is targeting? This is what Paris Agreement is targeting. Of that, 1.1 degree rise has already taken place. Then the report also says that we'll be breaching 1.5 degrees Celsius in next 20 years. Before 2040, the temperature rise would be beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius, and it is in all possible scenarios. आप कितनी भी जान लगा लो, you have gone to such a bad state. In all the emission scenarios, all GHG emission scenarios, you're definitely breaching 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2040. Between 2030-40 itself, you'll breach it. Before 2040, the temperature rise would be beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius. The report is clear about it. Further, it says that we will breach the 2 degrees Celsius warming, temperature rise, if this gets exceeded by the end of this century. If the things keep going on in the way it's going on, it will go by the end of 2100. I do not know how much of us will live to see that, but the temperature will go beyond 2 degrees Celsius. And if we continue how we are continuing today, then the temperature breach can be of as much of 4 degrees, as much as that of 4 degrees Celsius. So by 2100, if we take all the efforts, if we do everything that we are promising today, then we'll breach 2 degrees Celsius. And if we keep doing what we are doing today, not what we have promised, then we can even breach 4 degrees. In the most ambitious emission pathway, when the whole globe decides that net zero emission would take place by 2050. So what is net zero emission? Net zero emission is this, that we are putting CO2 in the atmosphere, but we are also taking out CO2 from the atmosphere. You know, various forms of sequestration. It can be biological by planting more trees. So overall CO2 or greenhouse gas which is being added in the atmosphere is zero. So if by 2050 we reach this situation, this is a very ambitious target. This is a very, very ambitious target. India has still not said that they will reach net zero by 2050. China is saying that they'll do it by 2060. India has not set a target for when they will reach 2050, net zero. China is saying they'll reach it in 2060. A number of other countries have not given these targets yet. So, but if we achieve this target, it is the best thing that we can do right now. So, even in that scenario, we would be breaching 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2030, but we will reach 1.6 degrees Celsius, and then eventually the temperature rise would fall back to 1.4 degrees Celsius. In the best possible scenario, also we are breaching 1.5 degrees Celsius. हमने पहले शुरू में भी यही बोला, अभी भी ये बोल रहे हैं कि and what is the best possible scenario for us? Best possible scenario for us is net zero emission by 2000. Fine. Then the report also highlights that steps that we'll take today, ambitious emission reduction that we start today, it will start showing result in next 10 to 20 years. It would not be like abhi kaam karna shuru kar diya, because already we have put in a lot of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. When we have put in a lot of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, what does it mean? They will keep warming the earth. And the steps that we start taking today, suppose let's say we start moving to renewable energy from coal-based power plants and all. So वो ऐसे ही shift नहीं हो जाएगा. It will take time, 10-20 years. It will take that much of time. So they are saying that results of these things would come 10 to 20 years later. The temperature is going to rise. Now some of you may be feeling कि sir AC लगवा लेंगे. That will further lead to higher temperature. We'll be consuming more electricity that will be produced using greenhouse gases. Temperatures are going to go up. In the same way, they are also saying that greenhouse gas emission, be it carbon dioxide, methane or nitrous oxide, in 2020, it had breached its previous record. Methane, nitrous oxide, carbon dioxide in 2020 was much higher than what it used to be earlier, and CO2 concentration in the atmosphere has reached 416 parts per billion. This used to be around 300 in 1960s. And this number has kept on going, and this is the highest that we have estimated in 2 million years. In the last 2 million years, itna CO2 was not there in the atmosphere. This much percentage of CO2 was not there in the atmosphere. We have reached that level. Then the report also talks about another interesting thing, that in short-lived climate forces are those compounds, those chemicals which are short-lived, but they have a negative impact on climate change. For example, things like ozone, black carbon, हमने सब पढ़ा है. Some nitrogen oxides also, they are short-lived climate forces. There, the contribution of SLCF has changed. Earlier, North America and Europe dominated SLFC emissions, but from 1990s, Asia has become the leading emitter due to strong economic growth. Also because North America and Europe have improved their technologies, which we as developing country and as developing continent, Asia को developing continent भी बोल सकते, because most of the countries here are developing only. Singapore, Japan, South Korea को छोड़ दिया जाए, most of the countries here are developing. Here we haven't been able to update our technology that much. Okay, then एक ray of hope है in the report. The report says that by historical studies of ancient earth and everything, we are kind of conclusive that at least one major volcanic eruption this century, at least one, ज़्यादा भी हो सकता है, एक major volcanic eruption would take place and it would cool down earth for a few years. So how do volcanic eruptions cool down earth? Basically, when volcanoes explode, so they will release a lot of gases, something like SO2. These things would be released, and now these act as reflector for sunlight. Sunlight which is falling on them would get reflected. Sunlight which is falling on them would get reflected. Sunlight which is falling on them would get reflected back. So volcanic eruption we may feel कि यार lava बाहर आ रहा है, गर्मी बढ़नी चाहिए, but no, it actually leads to cooling down of Earth. So this report itself is saying that a major volcanic eruption may definitely occur. Historical data shows that it would occur and it is going to cool down Earth. Okay, now the report has also given importance to indigenous knowledge. It says that indigenous knowledge has played a key role in fighting climate change, and it will in future also be playing important role. It has given example of Peruvian fishermen who first thought of the name El Nino for now. El Nino, which is a climate phenomena which we know very well right now. Similarly, indigenous Australian knowledge of climatic pattern has offered better records, better understanding of climate change. So indigenous knowledge could be very crucial. This report has also highlighted. So basically the report is saying गर्मी बढ़ने वाली है, global warming is going to increase. If you don't do anything, the temperature may rise up to 4 degrees Celsius by 2100. If you keep doing what you're promising today, then temperature would go to up to 2 degrees Celsius by 2100. But in the best possible emission scenario, that is, you do what? You achieve net zero emission by 2050. In that situation, your temperature will still rise by 1.5 degrees Celsius between 2030-40. It will go up to 1.6 degrees Celsius, but then it would fall back to 1.4 degree Celsius. But 1.5 degree Celsius to breach hona hai. 1.1 we have already reached. 1.5 degree is going to be. And now see, हम बहुत सारी reports पढ़ते हैं सारी चीजें, but this is the report which will quote the most. This is the most authentic, most advanced, most analyzed report. So in your answers, जो आप मेंस में लिखोगे, वहां पे भी you will like introduction में कुछ समझ में नहीं आया कैसे इंट्रोड्यूस करें, क्लाइमेट चेंज का क्वेश्चन आया है, तो say IPCC 6th assessment report has recently warned us that we are going in a troublesome situation. उसमें बता दो कि 2-3 चीजें जो उसने बोली हैं. So this report is something which is going to be very, very important. Now, what are the impacts? The report is also talking about the impact of global warming on humans. So we'll talk about impact on India, but first let's talk about impacts in general. So one is the higher temperature. The report says that 2011 to 2020, this decade has been one of the warmest decade from around 6500 years ago. पिछले 6500 सालों में this is the warmest decade. The temperature during recent decade 2011 to 2020 has exceeded those of the most recent multi-century warm period around 6500 years ago. 6500 years ago, a special warming of the earth had taken place because of some other reasons, not because of human factors. वहां पे temperature was more than what was there today, but in general, see how bad things are. Then heat waves, rains, droughts, they have become more frequent. We can see it around us, and they're going to become much more rapid and frequent in coming years also. Sea level is rising, glaciers are melting. Sea level rise को आप ऐसे समझ सकते हो. The report says that sea level rise has tripled compared to 1901 to 1901 to 1971 में जिस rate में every year sea level was rising, that rate has increased, has become 3 times now. Similarly, when we say that glaciers are melting, so Arctic sea ice, it has become its lowest in last 1000 years. So this is also melting. Then there may be scarcity of food and drinking water. The report also talk about compound events or compounding climate drivers. What are compound events? Compound events are these. जैसे बारिश हो रही है, heavy rainfall, flood, landslides. So floods and landslides, two disasters happening together. These floods and landslides would impact of climate change, and they would further worsen climate change. So for the first time, The report, IPCC report, has acknowledged the role of compounding extremes. What are compounding extremes? Several climate change drivers operating together in maximizing disaster impact. India as well as elsewhere. तो हमने जो केरला में देखा था 2018 floods occurred, but landslide. Then, in general, what would happen to India because of climate change? More erratic weather pattern, variability in weather pattern, including that of monsoon. So, we would see that there would be an increase in annual mean precipitation over India. Abhi it has decreased, but there would be an increase in annual mean precipitation over India with more severe rains expected over South India in the coming decade. But this precipitation would not mean that situation would improve. कहीं पे बहुत ज़्यादा बारिश होगी, कहीं पे drought होगी. Situation is going to be worsened. Then there would be increased cases of heat waves. In Himalayas, there will be more frequent events similar to the Uttarakhand incident of early 2021. Then sea levels would rise, and only across 6 cities of India, 6 port cities of India, around 2.8 crore people would be affected. So Chennai, Kochi, Kolkata, Mumbai, Surat, Visakhapatnam, 6 of the Indian port cities, यहाँ पे इतना population affect हो सकता है. And this climate change is also coming up with meteoric air pollution. देखो, why is climate change taking place? Because you're burning coal, because you're burning fossil fuels, and while you're burning fossil fuels, you're also producing sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, carbon monoxide, benzene. These are all polluting things. So climate change is also coming up with lot of air pollution, and this air pollution is has become the highest in South Asia when compared to other parts of the world, and is also going to negatively impact India in coming years. Report is this. तो अभी एक वो आया है डाउन टू अर्थ पे स्पेशल एडिशन ऑन क्लाइमेट चेंज. आई हैव गॉन थ्रू दैट ऑल्सो. तो मैं आपको वैसे भी आर्टिकल्स भेजता रहता हूँ ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म से उनके, तो सेम आर्टिकल्स कम इन द फिजिकल फॉर्म ऑल्सो इन दी डाउन टू अर्थ मैगजीन. इट हैज बीन कॉल्ड कोड रेड. और हम जो पहला लेक्चर ले रहे हैं, पहला टॉपिक ले रहे हैं आज का, इससे आपको दिख रहा होगा कि वी आर ह्यूमैनिटी इज इन अ वेरी बैड सिचुएशन. वो कोड रेड वाला सिचुएशन हो गया है. एवरीथिंग इज गोइंग इन द नेगेटिव डायरेक्शन. व्हाट शुड बी डन? फर्स्ट इज immediate reduction of greenhouse gas emission. Reduce greenhouse gas emission. So at least by 2050, ensure that net zero is achieved. And for achieving net zero by 2050, that is by 2050, no extra CO2 should be added. We should peak our emissions by 2025. Beyond 2025, no country should increase its emission, or the global community in total should not increase its emission. Our highest emission that humans make should be reached by 2025. उसके बाद emission should reduce. Only then we'll be able to achieve net zero by 2050. Else that would not happen. And for this, we need to reduce emissions by 45 to 50% below the 2010 level, and by 2030. 2010 में जितना emission हम कर रहे थे, उसका 40 to 50% reduction have to happen by 2030. And we have to reach net zero by 2050. This is one core thing. Now here you can keep, like if you will write this answer in mains examination, you can keep talking about how you will reduce this emission. Renewable energy पे shift होना, more efficient system जाना, plant करना, and so on. This is one aspect. Try to reduce emission. Second is be ready. Adapt yourself. The temperatures are going to rise, sea level is going to rise, flood is going to happen, drought is going to happen, agriculture is going to suffer. Be prepared, adapt yourself, make yourself climate proof. So temperatures are going to rise. Ensure that आप अपने around ज़्यादा greenery लगा रहे हो. Sea levels are going to rise. Ensure that you are shifting more and more people from the coastal area to rest of the places. You have plans for that. Floods are going to occur. Ensure that constructions which are taking place are flood proof. Droughts are going to occur. ensure that you are doing better rainwater harvesting, you are doing better watershed management, so that drought जैसी चीजें as much as possible reduce हो पाए. Weather pattern is going to become more erratic. All these things are going to happen. कुछ नहीं कर सकते. So adapt. So both the things, we have to prevent these things from happening, but we also have to make ourselves climate proof. Our infrastructure climate proof, our economy climate proof, our health climate proof. So all those aspects also have to be taken. Fine. So this was the report which was published in August, on 9th of August. So we covered a lot of report of IPCC earlier. This we're doing in the updates. Fine. What is the reports? एक तो आएगा report किसने publish किया? It is part of the 6th assessment report and so on. But a question that would be asked would be, a question that may be asked is, what is given in the report? Right? They may give you 4 statements. Which of the following is true as per the working group 1 report of the 6th assessment by IPCC? We should know what are they saying. We should know that yes, cooling would take place because of volcanic eruption, but that cooling would not be enough. The report is not saying कि cooling will take place और उससे सब ठंडा हो जाएगा. नहीं, that would not be enough. The impact that we have had is huge. So वो will add some value, but it will not be something which would be good enough at its own. Okay, now let's talk about climate change updates. Some other things that we have missed so far but are very important for your exam. So in the previous class on climate change, we had mostly dealt with international efforts to fight climate change. जहाँ पे we talked about United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, we talked about Paris Agreement, we talked about various funding mechanisms, we talked about REDD+. A lot of international efforts were discussed. India में एक major initiative है National Action Plan on Climate Change, which we should know about because there are several missions under it which may be asked in the examination. Especially mission का तो आप नाम देख के बता दोगे what the mission is focused upon, but which ministry it is under, those are certain things which we have to carefully look at. So in 2008, तो देखो in 2000s it was clear that climate change have to be fought on multiple dimensions. मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ पावर को भी रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस करना पड़ेगा, हमें एफिशिएंट सिस्टम यूज करना पड़ेगा. Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs have to ensure that the constructions which are being created, they are efficient, they are green, they are not using a lot of electricity. Right? Urban development जो ministry देखता है, our cities should become smart and should consume less electricity, less fossil fuels. Right? So there are different ministries which would be involved. This was realized, and therefore a National Action Plan on Climate Change was finalized in 2008. Under this National Action Plan, there are 8 missions which form the core of this multi-pronged and integrated approach to fight climate change. So overall, what is National Action Plan on Climate Change trying to do? Overall, it is focused on development of new technologies to fight climate change, involving multiple ministries. Like सिर्फ Ministry of New and Renewable Energy or Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in itself would not be able to deal with the climate change. Involve multiple ministries, involve private sectors, either through PPP project or through NGO actions to fight climate change, and promote awareness about climate change, its impacts, its adaptation, the energy efficiency, and so on. Fine. तो ये सारी चीजें हमें करनी है under National Action Plan on Climate Change. Now, NAPCC has not been very effective. ये थोड़ा मेंस वाला क्वेश्चन आ गया है कि it hasn't been very effective because one major reason has been this, that after 2014, our schemes that we are launching are not aligned with National Action Plan on Climate. So शायद नेशनल सोलर मिशन, yes, it is aligned, but a lot of other things are not aligned with what National Action Plan on Climate Change had talked about. Then there are other major problems. The National Action Plan on Climate Change is thought to be something that was rushed into introduction. Proper planning नहीं हुई, तो because of that what happened, a lot of missions started very late. National Action Plan on Climate Change was launched in 2008, but we will see a number of sub missions under it started in 2011, 2012 and so on. So that is another problem. There were delays in the approval of the mission. Monitoring is absent. So we have set up various targets, but to achieve those targets, the steps that are being taken, are they effective enough or not? They are not being done. Budgetary support has been very less, and state action plan on climate change has been very vague. That is, the focus of state governments on fighting climate change has remained limited. Okay, now let's look at, तो ये इतना ज़्यादा important नहीं है, ये थोड़ा mains वाला perspective है, मैंने I should have removed this, but yet if it's here, just understand it. Now let's go to individual missions. These are the missions that you should read carefully. The National Solar Mission है. We know that right now, what is the focus of National Solar Mission? By 2022, achieve 100 gigawatts of energy. Right? And which is the ministry which is implementing this? Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. इसमें 60 gigawatt will be through large and medium scale grid connected power plants, and 40 gigawatts would be through rooftop solar. Right? ये हमें पता है. Then there is National Mission on Enhanced Energy Efficiency. Sorry. National Mission on Enhanced Energy Efficiency. So energy efficiency के बारे में Bureau of Energy Efficiency and all those things we have studied already. In the economy section we have studied the steps, PAT wala steps या star rating system, all those stuff we have studied. You must remember that that was under Ministry of Power. So this National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency, the name will tell you what would it focus upon. It would focus upon reducing energy wasted, more efficient utilization of energy, to remove traditional bulbs with LED, that is a better utilization of energy, right? Better vehicles, better utilization of energy. So it is under Ministry of Power. Started in 2010 with the aim of reducing greenhouse gas emission by 98.55 million tons and annual fuel saving by 23 million tons. Then there is National Mission on Sustainable Habitat. Sustainable Habitat, जहां हम रह रहे हैं वो सस्टेनेबल तरीके से बने. तो रूरल एरियाज आर जनरली मोर और लेस सस्टेनेबल, वो ज्यादा एनर्जी यूज नहीं करते. इट इज अर्बन एरियाज which tend to use more energy, which are not very well planned and so on, and that's why this mission is under Ministry of Housing and Urban. Right? समझो कि why this mission is under what ministry, so that you do not have to cram these things. Logically आप कर पाओ. National Mission on Sustainable Habitat. फोकस क्या है? फोकस है कि we have to reduce greenhouse gas emission, fight climate change. How? By increasing energy efficiency of building, by improving municipal solid waste management, by encouraging people to use public transport. All these things are promoting energy efficiency, right? So several steps have been taken under this. वो यहाँ पे डिस्कस करने की जरूरत नहीं है. जैसे you prefer to take cab whenever you want, you should take metro or bus, right? So there is no point of buying a car. जब मुझे बहुत सारे लोग बोलते रहते हैं you should buy a car, I'm like, why the hell do I need to buy a car? In Delhi, I have Ola, Uber available for emergency whenever I need to do something. Otherwise, metro है, मेरे पैर हैं और मेरा वेट है. वेट भी कम करना है चल चल के. So in my hometown, Ola and Uber are not that easily available. So I have recently bought a car for my father. It was needed. But in a city like Delhi, not having a car is a good thing. We should promote use of public transport. And that's why I tend to support those ideas that public transport should be made free. Not only for women, but for everyone. Metro free कर दो. Buses free कर दो. Take your time. Budgetary allocation करो, because eventually what is the aim? हमें अर्थ को सेव करना है. गवर्नमेंट का पर्पस पैसे कमाना नहीं होना चाहिए ना. हाँ भवानी, बाइसिकल भी खरीदते हैं। बाइसिकल देखो, बाइसिकल, द इश्यू विद बाइसिकल इज आपके पास टाइम होना चाहिए चला के जाने के लिए। अब वो इंडिया गेट के अराउंड कंस्ट्रक्शन कर रहे हैं और आप लोग मुझे टाइम देते नहीं हो। आपने देखा ना, कल रात में 1:30-2 बजे आपको नोट्स बना के कंप्लीट भेजे हैं और सुबह 8:30 से आप लोग क्लास रख लेते हो। तो टाइम की को थोड़ी सी कमी हो रही है। कम बैक टू दिस, तो डिड यू अंडरस्टैंड द लॉजिक नेशनल मिशन फॉर सस्टेनेबल हैबिटेट? ज्यादा ना, बिकॉज नॉट अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स आर हैपनिंग ऑन इट, तो दे विल नॉट आस्क यू क्वेश्चंस डेप्थ में जाके। आईपीसीसी रिपोर्ट के अंदर जाके वो क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं, बट यहाँ पे यू शुड ब्रॉडली अंडरस्टैंड कि किस मिनिस्ट्री के अंदर है एंड व्हाट आर द स्टेप्स दैट दे मे बी टेकिंग। देन नेशनल वाटर मिशन, इट्स अंडर मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ जल शक्ति। वाटर मिशन है, फोकस क्या होगा? वाटर सिक्योरिटी एंड इंप्रूव एक्सेस टू वाटर रिसोर्स, एंड thus it would promote water conservation also, water use efficiency also। ये हमें याद करने की जरूरत नहीं है। एंड क्योंकि वाटर मिशन है, देयर इज ओनली वन वाटर मिनिस्ट्री लेफ्ट नाउ, मर्जर हो गया 2 का, तो वी हैव मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ जल शक्ति। देन नेशनल मिशन ऑन सस्टेनेबल हिमालयन इकोसिस्टम एंड नेशनल मिशन ऑन स्ट्रेटेजिक नॉलेज फॉर क्लाइमेट चेंज। ये 2 मिशंस हैं which are more R&D based, research and development ज्यादा हो रहा है, and both of them are under Ministry of Science and Technology और Department of Science and Ministry of Science and Technology के अंदर Department of Science and Technology आता है, उसमें ये दोनों मिशंस हैं। नेशनल मिशन ऑन सस्टेनेबल हिमालयन इकोसिस्टम, तो अंडर दिस it is aimed at developing capacity to assess the health status of Himalayan ecosystem and helping Himalayan states in policy formulation and implementation। तो फिर से ध्यान से देखो, डेवलपिंग कैपेसिटी टू असेस हेल्थ स्टेटस, टू स्टडी हेल्थ स्टेटस ऑफ हिमालयस। इट्स नॉट डूइंग अंडर दिस मिशन, वी आर नॉट डूइंग समथिंग एट आवर ओन, वी आर हेल्पिंग स्टेट्स इन पॉलिसी फॉर्मुलेशन एंड इम्प्लीमेंटेशन। So this is more of a research study related initiative which goes under Department of Science and Technology. In the same way, National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change. Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change, आप R&D करिए, आप रिसर्च करिए, आप कोलैबोरेशन करिए among different universities to better understand climate. And this initiative is also under Department of Science and Technology. So then there is National Mission on Green India. It is focused on increasing tree cover and forest cover in the country. It's under Ministry of Environment, Forest and so under this we'll see there is focus on reviving degraded forest, there's focus on increasing forest cover and density, there's focus on conserving biodiversity. We have already studied all these things biodiversity में, या फिर स्टेट ऑफ फॉरेस्ट रिपोर्ट, स्टेट ऑफ फॉरेस्ट रिपोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया, वहां पे हमने ये सारी चीजें पढ़ी हैं कैसे हो रही हैं। देन देयर इज नेशनल मिशन ऑन सस्टेनेबल एग्रीकल्चर, दिस commenced in 2012, it was announced as part of this action plan on climate change, national action plan on climate change, and it commenced in 2012. It has 4 components. How do we make agriculture sustainable? 1, by ensuring that our soil fertility is not reducing, so soil health management in an effective manner. 2, by ensuring that those areas which are dependent on rainfall, they are developed properly. Then sub mission on agroforestry. Agroforestry, forest में agriculture land में we start promoting planting of trees and all those things. And finally climate change and sustainable agriculture monitoring, modeling and network for creating models through which we'll be able to adapt to climate change. For example, let's say हरियाणा में we're facing problems because of XYZ issues due to climate change. तो हम नए मॉडल्स बना सकते हैं कि वहां पे कैसे एग्रीकल्चर करें so that our agriculture system can adapt to it. So these are certain things that we are doing under National Mission on Sustainable. Okay, so these are the 8 missions. इस मिनिस्ट्री के अंदर आता है, ये सारी चीजें आपके लिए क्लियर होनी चाहिए, and the name itself should be able to tell you what they are trying to. If we had studied it for mains examination, during mains also we'll study it. तो ये 8 नाम आपको पहले से ही पता होने चाहिए. They will not spend time on this. We'll talk about what are the problems which are being faced by this National Action Plan on Climate Change. We've talked about 5-6 problems already in this section also, and then we'll also talk about what steps needs to be taken to fight climate change. Fine. Now let's go to some other things which we had missed in our previous classes. वो हम कर रहे हैं. एक है CARE project, Climate Adaptation and Resilience for South Asia. Look at the name properly first. Climate Adaptation and Resilience. इससे तो CARE word हुआ है for South Asia. So this is a project for South Asia to make South Asia adapt to climate change and become more resilient to climate change. ये बात समझ में आई है? The name will tell you a lot of things because these are mostly factual projects, programs that in preliminary examination अगर ये आएगा तो look at the name and then look at the option. It would be easy for you to eliminate. The project is for adaptation and resilience. तो अच्छा हाँ इससे adaptation होगा, इससे होगा. ये दो ऑप्शन तो होने चाहिए. इससे you can eliminate various options in the examination. Therefore, look at the name properly. Second thing that you should know about it is it's a World Bank supported project. The World Bank has approved climate adaptation resilience for South Asia project worth 36 million. This happened in May 2002. Second thing that you should know is this. Fine. ये दो चीजें most crucial हैं. The name, understand what it's trying to do. CARE project is for South Asia, for making South Asia resilient and adapt to climate change. And then this aspect ki World Bank funding this. So under this, what are the things that we are doing? We're creating a public platform to inform about climate planning and investments. We are creating a fund for innovative and disruptive technology to support resilience in South Asia. And finally, under this project, we are also doing a climate impact assessment for 3 countries, Bangladesh, Nepal and Pakistan. Through that, in some of their districts, we are doing climate impact assessment. तो 3 broad चीजें हमने बात करी. एक public platform for proper reporting and all, एक fund for innovative and disruptive technology to support resilience in South Asia, and third, assessing climate impact in districts across Bangladesh, Nepal and बस इतना याद रखना है. एक रैंडम सा प्रोजेक्ट है जो वर्ल्ड बैंक ने अप्रूव किया है. इट वाज इन न्यूज, दैट इज व्हाई वी स्टडी इट, बट वी शुड नॉट स्पेंड 1 पेज ऑन इट. जस्ट नोइंग दीस फ्यू थिंग्स आर गुड इनफ. 1 पेज वी शुड स्पेंड ऑन आईपीसीसी रिपोर्ट, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. If you like, since last 1 week I haven't been able to send you newspaper articles on the Telegram channel because of some personal engagement, but उससे पहले when I was sending you newspaper articles, you would remember कि मैंने बहुत सारे articles IPCC report वाले भेजे थे. There were lots of articles, especially from Down to Earth, which were on IPCC report because it's that important. This isn't that important. No, World Bank का है. That's good enough. GRIHA, Green Rating for Integrated Habitat Assessment. Green Rating for Integrated Habitat Assessment. So what is GRIHA? पहले ये समझ लेते हैं. See, we need to make our buildings green. जैसे ये ऑफिस है. This should have been constructed in such a manner that natural sunlight is coming, but it's also naturally cool, so that बहुत ACs की जरूरत. अभी when we are recording this class, there are ACs running in this room. We should not have needed to do this. There should have been let's say solar power panels used on this building so that they will generate electricity when there's a lot of heat and they'll also protect you from heat. घरों के ऊपर जब solar power panels लग जाते हैं ना, like if you on the ceiling or on the roof of your house, if you put solar power panel, not only do those solar power panel generate more electricity for you, but they also cool down your house. How? Now your roof would not get that hot. So this building should have been constructed with materials which are green, which are not very polluting. Right? This building should have been constructed with material which are strong enough
so that बार बार इस कंस्ट्रक्शन की जरूरत ना पड़े. Like these are the kind of things that should have happened for us to ensure कि हम climate change से भी लड़ रहे हैं, pollution से भी लड़ रहे हैं, energy efficiency भी promote कर रहे हैं. So the things that we have discussed just now, those kind of buildings are called green building. So green buildings would be those buildings which practice these ideas right from the planning phase. Planning phase से पूरा घर बनने तक और घर के यूटिलाइजेशन तक और बिल्डिंग के यूटिलाइजेशन तक, always keeping the idea of green in mind would be green building. तो गृहा, फुल फॉर्म गृहा का देखो, ग्रीन रेटिंग फॉर इंटीग्रेटेड हैबिटेट असेसमेंट. गृहा इज अ green rating system developed by TERI, the Energy Resource Agency, and promoted by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. It's a rating system जो buildings को rating देगा in terms of your greenness. Here, a Griha Council has also been created for this function, for this rating, for this assessment. And this Griha Council is a not-for-profit society which has been jointly set up by the Energy Resource Institution and Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. जिन्होंने वो Griha rating system बनाया, उनके ही help से the Griha Council has been created. And it is this Griha Council which will provide evaluation as well as consultancy services to facilitate development of green building. Evaluation कैसे? जैसे ये schools को rate करेंगे, evaluate करेंगे greenery में at which level you are. And consultancy services कैसे? Suppose I want to start a project, infrastructure project, and I want that my building should be green. I'll go to Griha Council, take their help, take their consultancy to work upon. बात समझ में आ रही है? Okay. Now, it's a comprehensive framework and it has taken features from a number of international standards also. For example, एक LEED है, standard है, which is a standard which is used in USA. This LEED standard was adopted in India's IBC, Indian Building Code in 2001. We have learned from that also. So when you are part of, when you are rated under Griha, to get good rating under Griha, what are the things that you should be doing? You should be prescribing to Indian standards such as National Building Code. National Building Code आपको बहुत सारी चीजें करने को बोलता है to make the building green. You should be prescribing to that. You should be prescribing to Energy Conservation Building Code. You should be prescribing to Bureau of Indian Standards by enforcing their green building systems. Okay, then आप देखेंगे minimum standards which are required by Griha Council or for Griha rating includes minimum level of sanitations and safety facilities for construction workers. Start कहाँ से हो गया? Beginning से. Construction workers, कई बार हम construction workers को बस वहाँ पे shed लगा के दे देते हैं. They are living there, they are defecating in open. There is no safety available for them. In India, at most of the construction site, you will see that construction workers are not even wearing safety equipments like helmets, shoes. Those kind of things are not there. Ensuring those things. Minimum natural daylight requirement as per NBC, National Building Code. Why should electricity or light, artificial lighting be used in the daytime when natural daylight can be available or less artificial lighting may be required? Then minimum artificial lighting requirement as per EC. Focus on non-air conditioned building. So more credit goes to those buildings which have been constructed in such a manner कि air conditioning की जरूरत ना हो. Then mandatory minimum requirement for solar energy, mandatory treatment of groundwater and dealing with noise pollution. Griha requires adherence to CPCB and NBC guidelines for acceptable outdoor and indoor noise level. So this say you'll understand कि what are the factors that Griha keeps in mind. Air pollution be, water pollution be, noise pollution be, more or less it keeps all those things in mind. So now Ministry of New and Renewable Energy have made it mandatory that to get subsidies and financial assistance which are allocated for green development or for green building, you have to get Griha rating. Only on that basis you will be able to get this subsidy. For example, building which get at least 3-star Griha rating will be eligible for reimbursement of registration fee, and cash incentives to their architect and consultants would also be available. जो एटलीस्ट 3 स्टार लेके आते हैं, तो 5 स्टार लेके आएंगे उनके लिए और भी बेनिफिट्स हैं. ओके, देन MNRE also offers incentives to local bodies that offers rebate in property tax for Griha rated building. तो Griha एक रेटिंग सिस्टम है जो द एनर्जी रिसोर्स टेरी करके एक इंस्टीट्यूशन है दिल्ली में, एंड मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ न्यू एंड रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी ने मिलकर बनाया है. एंड Griha Council is the body which does the assessment and which also provides consultancy services. To promote green building, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy also provides certain benefits, certain initiatives, certain benefits to builders, architects, local bodies. And then Griha Council mein kaise, what are the factors that are kept in mind on the basis of which the rating is given, we have talked about that. Fine. Griha Council समझ में आया. Recently भी दिसंबर में it was in news because एक वर्चुअल मीट हुआ था इसका. The 12th Griha Summit was scheduled as a virtual conference from on December 15-16, 2020. The theme was rejuvenating resilient habitats. So not that important, but because of this it was in news, we have to know about Griha. Okay, now let's go to the next topic. Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs have also taken some steps to promote construction technology or to bring construction technology reforms in the housing and real estate sector. तो ये हम क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं? Because in PIB, Minister of New and Renewable Energy was saying, तो PIB had mentioned कि पिछले सालों में क्या steps लिए गए जहां पे हम better quality of construction material promote कर रहे हैं. So these 3 things were mentioned in PIB in last 1 year. Now you will see that this is GHTC, Global Housing Technology Challenge, which was organized by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. It happened in January 2019, so it's pretty old. But PIB में अभी ये mention था कि what are the steps that you have taken. So you have to know about this even now. So look at it. Global Housing Technology Challenge, GHT, Global Housing Technology Challenge. इसके अंदर क्या हो रहा था? The aim was bring in, do competitive activities to bring in, to highlight, identify and mainstream best available and proven construction technology. Construction technologies which are sustainable, which are green, which are disaster resilient, and so on. So through this challenge, these things were identified. Then 2019-20 was also declared Construction Technology Year. And as part of this Construction Technology Year, 6 innovative technologies were selected among the 54 technologies that participated in GHTC India. Then, एक Asha India, Affordable Sustainable Housing Accelerator initiative has also been launched. Asha India Initiative, Affordable Sustainable Housing Accelerator Initiative. Under this, 5 incubation centers have been set up for identifying innovative material, processes and technology for resource efficient, resilient and sustainable construction. Idea तीनों में वही चल रहा है कि हम अच्छा मटेरियल कैसे आइडेंटिफाई करें, सस्टेनेबल ग्रीन मटेरियल कैसे आइडेंटिफाई करें. तो फॉर प्रीलिम्स, आशा इंडिया, when you hear this name, understand it's related to construction technology, where incubation centers have been set up so that better material, innovative material, processes and technologies could be highlighted, could be. Okay, fine. Now, iStupas. iStupas हर साल न्यूज में रहते हैं, अभी भी न्यूज में थे. एक इंडियन एक्सप्रेस में एक्सप्लेन्ड पेज था कि हाउ इन लद्दाख द ड्राई, uninhabited or ghost villages have been reconverted into green villages where people are able to settle. So let's first understand the problem of Ladakh. See, Ladakh trans-Himalayan region में है. It's pretty dry. Himalayas के इस तरफ होता तो because of monsoon it would have got rain. So what happens is, let's say इधर से समुद्र से हवाएं आ रही हैं, they are bringing moisture. तो इधर से हवाएं आ रही हैं, they are bringing moisture. बिकॉज ऑफ हिमालयाज दे राइज, टेम्परेचर कम होता है, दे कन्वर्ट इनटू लिक्विड एंड बारिश के फॉर्म में गिर जाते हैं दिस साइड. तो ऑन द अदर साइड नॉट अ लॉट ऑफ रेनफॉल अकर्स. तो लद्दाख में वैसे भी बहुत सारा बारिश नहीं हो. ओके, बट it's very cold. So earlier what used to happen, that there were lots of there are lots of glaciers in the nearby region. So now if you go to Ladakh, let's say now we are talking about Ladakh, so there used to be a lot of glaciers जो कि सर्दियों में जम जाते थे एंड गर्मियों में थोड़ा थोड़ा पानी वो रिलीज करते रहते. But over the years what has happened, glaciers have also receded, glaciers have become less and less. So now a lot of part of Ladakh is there, which in winters are very cold. Their cultivation or agriculture kind of things not happen, and in summers, their summers can be 4-5 degrees Celsius of temperature. But in that, agriculture can happen, but they do not have any water. They do not have any water because glaciers are receding, places are becoming dry. So because of this, what was happening was, in a lot of villages, youth was just migrating outside. They were working as laborers. Farmers who had land and everything, they were working as laborers, or they had started some chota mota shop to earn their livelihood and were facing a lot of issues. Okay, so came the idea of ice stupas. Let's understand what are these ice stupas. These ice stupas are kind of artificial glaciers. Glaciers recede हो गए, पहले ग्लेशियर से थोड़ा थोड़ा पानी आता रहता था, but now they have receded. Can we create artificial glaciers so that in summers they will slowly keep releasing water through which agriculture can happen? So ice stupa is that. In ice stupa what we do is, let's say there's a stream of water कहीं पे ऊपर. Let's say here there's a stream of water. So that water, from with a small pipe, we will bring here. In this small pipe, water would be brought here, and ऐसे it would be released. When water is being released here, outside temperature is of -20 degrees Celsius or so. तो वाटर जैसे रिलीज होता है ना, एक तो बिकॉज ऑफ ग्रेविटी इट विल कम आउट लाइक स्प्रिंकलर, एंड देन व्हेन वाटर वुड बी रिलीज्ड इट विल इंस्टेंटली फ्रीज. इट विल इंस्टेंटली फ्रीज. बाहर टेम्परेचर इज -20 डिग्री सेल्सियस. तो थ्रू दिस दे क्रिएट ग्लेशियर काइंड ऑफ स्ट्रक्चर. Water release हो रहा है and it's getting frozen. Water release हो रहा है and it's getting frozen. These are ice stupas. Look at this. From a high stream, water which was getting wasted, which was getting just flown away, it was brought through pipes. ऐसे release कर रहे हैं, and that water, while it's falling, it's getting frozen, and in this way, these kind of structures are being formed. Now, these would be formed in winters. In summers, when sunlight would be there, it would slowly melt. Why would it slowly melt? क्योंकि वहां पे temperature is not 30 degrees Celsius. So it would slowly melt and ensure that some water is available. तो glaciers recede हो गए जो आपको पानी नहीं दे पा रहे हैं. Let's create our own glacier. एक डाउन टू अर्थ नहीं, सॉरी, नेशनल ज्योग्राफी या किसी में एक आर्टिकल था, हेडिंग ये था, वन ऑफ द वेज ऑफ फाइटिंग क्लाइमेट चेंजेस, क्रिएट योर ओन ग्लेशियर. देयर दे हैड टॉक्ड अबाउट दिस पर्टिकुलर प्रोजेक्ट, दिस पर्टिकुलर प्रोग्राम ऑफ आइस. सबको समझ में आया व्हाट इज आइस स्तूपा? तो इन 2013-14, नो, सो अच्छा, बिफोर वी गेट इनटू दिस थिंग, लेट्स लुक एट अ फॉर्मल डेफिनेशन ऑफ आइस स्तूपा, आर्टिफिशियल ग्लेशियर. It is a glacier grafting technique that creates artificial glaciers used for storing winter water in the form of conical shaped ice sheets. During summer, when the water is scarce, the ice stupa melts slowly to increase the water supply for crops. ये हमने मोरलेस बताया आपको। एक वीडियो का लिंक है, प्लीज वॉच इट एट योर ओन। आई एम नॉट प्लेइंग इट हियर बिकॉज हमारे पास ना कॉपीराइट क्लेम्स आ जाते हैं। व्हेन आई प्ले दिस वीडियो इन द क्लास एंड दिस वीडियो गेट्स अपलोडेड ऑन यूट्यूब, तो ऐसा होता है कि यूट्यूब पे वी आर प्लेइंग वीडियो सम अदर वीडियो, तो कॉपीराइट वाला इश्यू आ जा रहा है, तो आई एम नॉट प्लेइंग द वीडियो हियर। इन दिस वीडियो थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लेनेशन है कि कैसे काम कर रही हैं चीजें। तो दिस ice stupa was invented by Sonam. He has an NGO, he heads an NGO called Students Educational and Cultural Movement of Ladakh, and this NGO is undertaking this ice stupa project in various parts of Ladakh now. In 2013-14 सिर्फ एक जगह था, but this was there in only one village, but 2018-19 से Ministry of Tribal Affairs is also helping this NGO, and now there are many places, 26 locations across Ladakh where this ice stupa wala concept is fighting the problems which have been created by climate change. So ghost villages have been converted into green villages. इस ice stupa के ही चारों तरफ ना लोग plants वगैरह लगा रहे हैं, पेड़ लगा रहे हैं. The idea is in summers water would be available. And there are competitions going on, कितना बड़ा ice stupa बना सकते हैं and all. New things, new innovations, those kind of things are also going on. How much more water can be stored and so on. What technology should be used. All those aspects are also there. Okay, so this was about ice stupa. तो ice stupa generally मैं कल अपने पिछले साल के नोट्स देख रहा था, तो वहां पे ice stupa था, तो I just searched for ice stupa and I saw so many articles on ice stupa in last 1 year also. Ice stupa was in news in last 1 year also, and that's why we should be aware of this. Now, desertification and land degradation, a major topic that we'll be dealing with. Desertification and land degradation. So, why do desertification or land degradation? अभी हम उसमें नहीं जाते हैं कि around 40% of the land on earth is vulnerable to desertification or land degradation, और इंडिया में around 30% of India's land is under degradation or desertification. अच्छा, land degradation का मतलब पता है, land खराब होना, बट जब ये खराब ड्राई रीजन में होता है तो डेजर्ट भी बन जाता है. तो degradation and desertification are overlapping. Like in a wet region, when degradation would happen, it would not lead to desertification. But in a dry, semi-dry region, when degradation is happening, it's also leading to desertification. So, I'm not getting into the technical definitions of degradation and desertification. अभी यहाँ पे causes, schemes, programs, recent initiatives, वो सारी चीजें हम discuss. So what are the factors which lead to degradation, land degradation and desertification? One is deforestation. आप पेड़ काटते जाओगे, chances of degradation and desertification would be there. Then overgrazing and unsustainable agricultural practices. You remove vegetation by overgrazing, you would move towards desertification. Increasing pollution. Increasing pollution does what? Let's say water pollution या soil pollution हो रहा है, तो soil degrade हो रहा है, leading to desertification. Climate change. Climate change की वजह से क्या है? There are higher probability of drought, less water available. Again, we moving towards desertification. Then salination or overuse of water. When overuse of water takes place, it brings up more salt also. So land becomes salinated, it becomes degraded. There is unsustainable mining practices. They deposit chemicals, they deposit a lot of other things which harm the land, may degrade it. Invasive species, things like Proposis juliflora. We have studied Proposis juliflora. ये क्या करता है? दूसरे plants को सर्वाइव नहीं करने देता है, उनका रिसोर्स कंज्यूम कर लेता है. दिस ऑल्सो कॉन्ट्रीब्यूट टू desertification. Then forest fires, that is becoming a major cause of concern. Then lack of resources. There are ministries, there are departments, there are schemes to fight desertification, but what is not there? Lack of resources in developing countries. In countries like Africa, countries like India, that becomes important problem. So how desertification impact us? देखो, लैंड खराब हो रहा है. प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी वाज गिविंग अ स्पीच रिसेंटली एंड ही सेड कि इन इंडिया लैंड इज कंसिडर्ड मदर. इंडिया लैंड इज धरती माता होती है, बिकॉज इट्स टेकिंग केयर ऑफ यू, इट्स प्रोवाइडिंग यू फूड, इट्स प्रोवाइडिंग यू क्लोथिंग, कॉटन वहीं पे प्रोड्यूस हो रहा है, इट्स प्रोवाइडिंग यू अदर सोर्सेस ऑफ। तो जब लैंड खराब होता है तो सोशियो इकोनॉमिक प्रॉब्लम्स बहुत सारी आती हैं। इट विल नेगेटिवली हैम्पर आवर फूड सिक्योरिटी, इट विल इंक्रीज पॉवर्टी, इट विल इंक्रीज अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट। देन जनरली डिग्रेडेशन impacts people who are already vulnerable. Poor farmers, they are the ones who suffer. So it will increase inequality. Then this promotes vicious cycle of degradation. Why? Once land degradation happens, farmers tend to use more intense activities to do agriculture, जो और ज्यादा degradation करेंगे. Like fertility reduce हुई है land की, farmer will start putting in more fertilizer. So degradation of land will further increase. Then desertification adds to the worsening of impact of climate change. लैंड डिग्रेड हो रहा है, डिजर्टिफिकेशन, तो क्या होगा? वहां पे प्लांट्स डिस्ट्रॉय हो रहे हैं, डिफॉरेस्टेशन हो जाएगा एक तरह से, एंड दैट विल लीड टू फर्दर क्लाइमेट चेंज. So it also adds to climate change. Okay, so there are several initiatives at the international level to fight desertification. The most important one is United Nations Convention on Combating Desertification, UNCCD. So Rio Earth Summit में there were 3 conventions that were signed: United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and United Nations Convention on Combating Desertification. तो फाइनली हमने तीनों पढ़ लिए. हमने कन्वेंशन ऑन बायोलॉजिकल डाइवर्सिटी पहले पढ़ा, बिकॉज वी इन एनवायरमेंट, बायोडाइवर्सिटी एंड क्लाइमेट चेंज वी स्टार्टेड विद बायोडाइवर्सिटी. देन वी स्टडीड क्लाइमेट चेंज वाला यूनाइटेड नेशन फ्रेमवर्क कन्वेंशन ऑन क्लाइमेट चेंज. टुडे वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट डेजर्टिफिकेशन वाला कन्वेंशन. So this convention was signed in 1992 on Rio Earth Summit. In 1994, when it came into force, United Nations established it as sole legally binding international agreement linking environment and development to sustainable land management. फिर से देखो, this is the only legally binding agreement which connects environment and development with land degradation. Which is connecting environment and development to land degradation. This is the only international agreement doing legally binding agreement doing so. Then there are 197 members who are part of this convention, and they are working together to improve the living condition of people, maintain and restore soil productivity, and mitigate the effect of. These are the 3 broad areas that they are working on it. इसका जो 14th COP हुआ था, last conference of party हुआ था, that happened in India. 15th COP was supposed to happen in 2021, but that has, again because of pandemic, has been delayed to 2022. It has been shifted to 2022. So in 2019, the 14th COP was held in India. अब again सोचना 2020 में भी नहीं हो सकता था COP, 21 में भी नहीं हो रहा है, 22 में होगा. तो last COP that has taken place on United Nations Convention on combating desertification happened in India, और इसलिए भी ये भी बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है हमारे लिए. न्यू दिल्ली डिक्लेरेशन was released during this COP 14. So what are the key focus areas of COP 14? एक आप चीज देखोगे, they brought in or they launched what is known as a drought toolbox. Drought toolbox will help member countries. This toolbox will दे दो नीचे. This toolbox will help member countries to assess the risk of drought in advance. For example, moisture level कितना है soil में, बारिश होने के कितने chances हैं. Using all those things, it will be able to identify in advance the risk of drought. Then in this United Nations COP, it was also decided that Great Green Wall Initiative, अभी हम Great Green Wall Initiative डिटेल में पढ़ेंगे. It's basically जैसे this is the African continent. If this is the African continent, तो यहाँ पे ना वो डेजर्ट वाला रीजन है, सहारा वाला रीजन. So they are creating a big, great green wall here from Senegal to Djibouti of trees. They are planting a lot of trees. It's an initiative by Africa to combat desertification, so that Sahara Desert or Saleh wala wo region will not further get expanded. So in this, we'll talk about this initiative abhi bahut detail mein, don't worry. So in this COP, a roadmap for scaling up the Great Green Wall Initiative was also planned. Then an international coalition on sand and dust storm was also created. This international coalition on sand and dust storm will aim to mitigate the transboundary impact of sand and dust storm. इंडिया में डस्ट स्टॉर्म होता है, वो पाकिस्तान को इम्पैक्ट करता है, पाकिस्तान में होता है, इंडिया को इम्पैक्ट करता है. तो दिस इंटरनेशनल कोलिशन ऑन सैंड एंड डस्ट स्टॉर्म विल ट्राई टू कॉम्बैट दैट. So this New Delhi Declaration was the declaration of COP14, and it focused upon establishing a center of excellence to promote South-South exchange, raising its 2030 land degradation target to 21 million hectares, and taking into consideration land-based solution for climate action and biodiversity. Fine. COP15 will be happening somewhere between May and October 2020. It has not happened. तो दो ये 2-3 साल पुराना है, थोड़ा आइडिया रहना चाहिए कि COP14 on United Nations Convention to combat desertification had happened in India. Now, in 2018, the UNCCD 2018 to 2030 strategic framework was also released. As part of UNCCD, हम 18 से 30 के बीच में किस तरह से काम करेंगे उसका एक फ्रेमवर्क रिलीज हुआ था, स्ट्रैटेजिक फ्रेमवर्क टू कॉम्बैट डेजर्टिफिकेशन. व्हाट इज दिस फ्रेमवर्क टॉकिंग अबाउट? व्हाट आर द की aspects of this framework? This is also something that we want to understand. So first, this framework, this strategic framework, UNCCD 2018 to 2030 strategic framework, is the most comprehensive global commitment to achieve land degradation neutrality. अब इसकी डेफिनेशन समझते हैं, बट फर्स्ट लुक एट द नेम ओनली. इससे ही आपको समझ में आएगा व्हाट इज इट. Land degradation neutrality. Degradation neutrality. लैंड जो डिग्रेड हो रहा है उसे रोक दो, न्यूट्रल कर दो, सो दैट गुड क्वालिटी land which is available to us, that should not keep reducing. Desertification or degradation should not keep expanding, should not keep increasing. This is what the meaning of land degradation neutrality. उसके नाम से समझो. We'll look at a formal definition, but this name itself should give you अच्छा land degradation neutrality. Do not let degradation extend. So this strategic framework is the most comprehensive global commitment to achieve land degradation neutrality with the 2030 sustainable SDG goals. So one of the sustainable development goal is achieving land degradation neutrality. So what is land degradation neutrality? आपको समझ में आ गया ना? तो इसका formal definition देखो. A state where the amount and quality of land resources which are necessary to support ecosystem functions and services and enhance food security remains stable. Good quality land remains stable or increases. Means degradation becomes zero or degradation. मतलब समझ में आया? Okay. Now, under this LDN, land degradation neutrality, target setting program has also been set up. Through this, the global mechanism and secretariat on UNCCD will help countries in creating LDN target and implementing. So a LDN target setting program has also been launched as part of this initiative. And then an LDN fund has also been launched. What will this LDN fund do? It will be an impact investment fund, जो कि again लैंड डिग्रेडेशन, डेजर्टिफिकेशन को फाइट करने के लिए यूज हो रहा होगा. दिस फंड विल हैव रिसोर्सेज फ्रॉम अदर कंट्रीज, बट इट विल आल्सो हैव resources coming from private sector. It will not only be funding countries, it will also be funding private sector and so on. उसमें जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. But LDN fund, LDN target setting program, land degradation neutrality, these are LDN target setting program, LDN fund, these are part of this strategic framework. That is something that you should understand for preliminary examination. Okay, now World Day to Combat Desertification. It happens on 17th of June and this year's theme was Restoration Land Recovery. We build back better with health. So basically COVID-19 pandemic ने एक ऑप्शन दिया है आपको रिकवर करने का. When you are recovering from pandemic, you recover in such a manner that land degradation future may be now. So this year on 17th June, which is the World Day to Combat Desertification and Drought, that is the theme. There are some more things that you should note, that this day was declared as World Day to Combat Desertification and Drought in 1994. Because what happened in 1994? UNCCD had become a legally binding international agreement on which connected environment ecology with land degradation. So उस time हुआ. Then in 2007 United Nations General Assembly did another thing. It declared the year 2010 to 20 as the UN decade for deserts and fight against desertification to mobilize global action to fight land degradation. So basically UN decade against desertification is something that was this decade. 2010 to 2020 was the UN decade against desertification. Itna samjho. Okay. Then in international efforts to fight desertification, there are some other initiatives. For example, there's a Bonn Challenge. What is Bonn Challenge? It's a global goal where by 2020, we want to recover 150 million hectare of degraded deforested landscape. जो डिग्रेडेड लैंडस्केप ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है उसके अप टू 150 मिलियन को हमें डिग्रेड से अपग्रेड करना है. दैट इज जो उसको वापस से रिकवर करना है. एंड द टारगेट ऑफ बॉन कन्वेंशन ऑफ 2030 इज दैट ऑफ 350 मिलियन हेक्टेयर्स. बाय 2030 350 मिलियन हेक्टेयर्स ऑफ लैंड शुड बी रिकवर्ड. ऐसे ही है द ग्रेट ग्रीन वॉल इनिशिएटिव. The Great Green Wall Initiative. What is this Great Green Wall Initiative? And this is an initiative which was launched by African Union. Idea is जो degraded land है, landscape है, उसे recover करो. Now this is covering an area from Djibouti to Senegal, Djibouti in the east to Senegal in the west. So this will be the largest living structure on the planet. Once it is ready, it will be covering around 8,000 kilometers. It will be the largest living structure on the planet. And this great wall basically it would be a wall of trees, which will prevent desertification from extending further. This wall of trees will not only fight desertification, it will also help in our fight against climate change, and it will create a lot of jobs, which will benefit Africa. So this is an initiative which was launched by African Union in 2007. Now, with the help of African countries, international partners, the Global Environment Facility, all of them are working under this initiative now. Under the leadership of African Union Commission, they are developing it. Idea is that by 2030, 100 million hectare of currently degraded land should be recovered. We should also be able to sequester 250 million tons of carbon and create 10 million green jobs. The Great Green Wall. ठीक है, आइडिया अफ्रीकन यूनियन ने लॉन्च किया है, वो सारी चीजें आपको पता होनी चाहिए. UN High Level Dialogue on Desertification, Land Degradation and Drought, PLDD भी बोलो. desertification, land degradation and drought. UN high level dialogue on this. Now, this is a dialogue which was convened by General Assembly abhi in 2021 only. Idea was that 2010 to 2020 was the decade to fight against desertification. 2007 में UN ने ये डिक्लेयर किया था. What has been its impact and what should be the future? ये डिस्कस करने के लिए यूनाइटेड नेशन जनरल असेंबली इन 2021 had held UN high level dialogue on desertification, land degradation and drought. Fine, ये वाली बात समझ में आई. Second, what was the purpose? एक तो पर्पस था to understand what we have achieved and what will we do, but in general there were some other objectives. One objective was that bring attention of all countries on how, when they are recovering from pandemic, their recovery should be such that in future they're also keep taking care of land degradation. They're creating green jobs. अभी बहुत सारे लोगों ने a lot of people have lost their jobs. When you are creating jobs, ensure that those kind of jobs are green jobs. कि वो environment को भी help कर रहे हैं, उन लोगों को भी recover करने में help कर रहे हैं. तो bringing attention to how COVID-19 recovery process can be aligned to addressing desertification, land degradation and drought. Then elevate the discussion on DLDD's issues global significance for the entire SDG agenda. कि कैसे DLDD for the entire SDG agenda, be it fighting poverty, be it fighting hunger, be it fighting violence, be it protecting biodiversity, be it protecting oceans, be it protecting climate, उन सब के लिए DLDD desertification, land degradation and drought का एजेंडा क्रूशियल है. ये हाईलाइट करना was another aim of this dialogue. Then encourage all UN members to bring in a national drought plan and implement land degradation neutrality targets. वो हमने पढ़ ली दिया है. All member countries to support land degradation neutrality fund, and हमने देखा है land degradation neutrality fund as part of the strategic framework has been created. So here they are also calling member countries कि आप उसे support करिए उस fund को and share, because it's a platform where different countries would come and talk about desertification, land degradation, drought. So they can share their experiences, their shared technologies, they can share their innovative business model through which they were able to fight these problems. So in general, this dialogue was held. This dialogue becomes important for us because Prime Minister Modi gave a keynote address and he highlighted certain things. So PIB में पूरा एक article था about this conference as well as about the Prime Minister Modi's speech. So here Prime Minister Modi highlighted that in India we have always given importance to land and considered sacred earth as our mother. He then talked about various steps which have been taken by India to fight desertification, land degradation and drought, and said that over the last 10 years we have added 3 million hectares of forest cover in the country. As per State of Forest report, and almost 25% of India is now under forest cover or tree cover. हमने देखा है State of Forest report में. Then India is on track to achieve national commitment of land degradation neutrality. India will be achieving its land degradation neutrality. आपको समझ में आ रहा है land degradation neutrality क्या होता है? Then India is also working towards restoring 26 million hectares of degraded land by 2030. This will also help us achieve one of our nationally determined NDCs, which we have given to Paris agreement कि 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide हम sequester करेंगे. When we are restoring 26 million hectares of land, what are we doing? We are planting trees and thus restoring it. Then, in the spirit of South-South cooperation, India is also helping other developing countries, fellow developing countries, to fight these challenges. And finally, a center of excellence is being set up in India to promote scientific approach towards land degradation. These are the things which have been highlighted by Prime Minister Modi He also said that land degradation सिर्फ land को restore नहीं, land restoration of degraded land is not only helping us fight the environmental issues, but it could lead to good soil health, it could increase land productivity, it will promote food security, and it will improve livelihood opportunity. फाइन. तो इसीलिए जो ये UN हाई लेवल डायलॉग ऑन डेजर्टिफिकेशन, लैंड डिग्रेडेशन एंड ड्रॉट व्हिच वाज ऑर्गेनाइज्ड बाय UN जनरल असेंबली के बारे में थोड़ा सा ज्यादा पता होना चाहिए, बिकॉज पीएम मोदी का स्पीच है. आजकल पूरा देश पीएम मोदी के अराउंड ही घूम रहा है, पूरा सिस्टम. तो क्या पता यहाँ पे भी एक इंटरेस्टिंग चीज है, आप सब आज करके देखना. पीएमओ की वेबसाइट नहीं, पीएमओ पे मत जाओ, पीएमओ तो पीएम का ही है. गो टू PIB. आप PIB की वेबसाइट खोलना और ऊपर से नीचे तक स्क्रॉल करना, एंड ये देखना कितनी बार पीएम मोदी की फोटो. PIB is not supposed to do that. PIB is supposed to like take your time, जब भी मन करे ना खोल के देखना कि ऊपर से नीचे तक कितनी बार उनकी फोटो है और क्या बाकी सबका मिला के भी उनके बराबर है. तो the whole system is working around one person right now. So when he is in some he is giving speeches somewhere, he is talking somewhere, हमें थोड़ा सा cautiously रहना चाहिए, उन सब चीजों को थोड़ा ज्यादा ध्यान देना चाहिए, क्योंकि उससे सवाल आने के चांसेस शायद ज्यादा हो जाएंगे. Desertification and land degradation atlas of India. It was released by ISRO, Space Application Center of ISRO, in June 2021. अभी जून 2021 में Desertification and Land Degradation Atlas of India. So basically it is telling us state wise, district wise कितना लैंड डेजर्टिफाई हो गया या डिग्रेड हो गया है. नेम ऑफ द डेजर्टिफिकेशन एंड लैंड डिग्रेडेशन एटलस, यही पर्पस होना चाहिए कि ऑन मैप इट विल टेल यू कि विच आर द एरियाज व्हिच हैव बीन डिग्रेडेड, विच आर द एरियाज व्हिच हैव बीन डेजर्टिफाइड. तो कौन पब्लिश कर रहा है? इसरो, इसरो का स्पेस एप्लीकेशन सेंटर. ओके, देन the data that it is talking about, state wise data, अच्छा it's talking about state wise data. Now I'm not sure about district wise, मैंने भी गलती से district wise भी बोल दिया था, please ignore that. It is talking about state wise data and the data that it is using is of 2018. तो इससे पहले we had a 2003-5 का data and 2011-12 का data, तो उसके comparison में 2018-19 में what is the situation, talking about that. So as per this 29.7% of India's land is degraded. Degraded also includes desertified land. Please understand this. Around 30% of India's land is degraded. So India का total area is 328.72 million hectares. उसमें से around 97.8 million hectares of India's land is degraded. Area under desertification is 83.69 million hectares. It has increased. In 2011 to 13 wala period, the area under desertification was 82.64 million hectares. It has increased to 83.69 million hectares. So please, मैंने पहले भी बताया है कि land degradation within dry land region is termed as desertification. So desertification is a type of land degradation. Okay, then there is some state-wise breakup. As per this report, in 28 out of 31 states and union territories which it studied, there have been increase in level of desertification between 2011 to 13 study and 2018 to 19. In this period, in 28 states, there has been an increase in desertification. Goa and Odisha had shown improvement between 2003-5 to 2011-13. But even these states have now become in the deteriorating category, have gone into the deteriorating. बात समझ में आई? Then land degradation and desertification was declining in Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, and this is interesting. 3 states. Now 28 out of 31, the situation is deteriorating, but 3 out of 31 in UP, in Rajasthan, and in Telangana, the situation is improving. Degraded land is becoming less, recovered land is becoming more. Around 23.79% of area undergoing desertification with respect to total gross area of the country was contributed by Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, Ladakh, Jharkhand, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, and Telangana. These are the states which contribute around 23.79% of the area undergoing desertification in India. तो around 29% area desertification, 27% area desertification में जा रहा है, उसमें से most of the area is located. ओके, तो ये एटलस अभी जून में रिलीज हुआ है. You should know slightly this thing in slightly more detail. ओके, समझ में आ गई हैं चीजें? कोई डाउट, कोई इशू? Let's now go to some other climate related news which are used for preliminary. एक है Indian scientific expedition to Antarctica, which happened in January 2021. It was the 40th, 40th Indian scientific expedition to Antarctica, which was launched. Now, थोड़ा background देख लेते हैं. India's expeditions to Antarctica started in 1981. So from a very humble beginning, we have established 3 permanent research-based stations in Antarctica. Those are Dakshin Gangotri, Maitri, and Bharti. We have 3 permanent research-based stations in Antarctica now. Of this, Dakshin Gangotri is no more functional. Maitri and Bharti are operational right now. So we have established 3 research centers. उसमें से 2 are operational at the moment. Then in India, National Center for Polar and Ocean Research, which is located in Goa. ध्यान रखो इसका. National Center for Polar and Ocean Research कहाँ पे located है? Goa. It is managing the entire Indian Arctic and this Antarctic program. It is this initiative which is doing it. Now, the current expedition, the 40th expedition that we are talking about, let's look at that. The Indian expedition, this January में जो expedition गया है Antarctica में, it is the 40th expedition of India. It was flagged with 43 members on board. This is a much limited expedition. Generally, हम बड़े level पे expedition भेज रहे हैं, but this was a much limited expedition because of COVID-19 concerns. Now, what will this expedition do? This expedition will support the ongoing scientific project on climate change, geology, ocean observation, electric and magnetic flux measurement, environmental monitoring, resupplying of food, fuel, provisions, etc. and accomplishing the return of winter crew. Please note this thing. एक तो बाकी सारी चीजें कर रहा है, but this expedition will do what? It will reach there in 1 month, will leave some scientists there. 43 लोग जा रहे हैं, उसमें से 40 लोगों को वहीं छोड़ देगा, and it will bring back return of the winter crew. जो लोग पहले जा चुके थे वहां, उनको ये वापस लेके आएगा. जैसे इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन पे कुछ लोग जाते हैं, कुछ लोग आते हैं वापस. The same way here also, it will bring back some of the people who are already there. So India has ensured that during COVID-19, all the protocols related to COVID-19 is followed so that Antarctica remains COVID-19 free, and therefore the expedition is has duly followed all protocols for deployment of men and material as per Council of Managers and National Antarctic Program. Okay, here the vessel that has gone is chartered ice class vessel MV Vasily Golovnin, and this journey had started from Goa. So you can understand कि ये expedition, why would it be launched from Goa? It would be launched from Goa because National Center for Polar and Ocean Research is located in. Fine, वहीं से launch होगा. Now let's go to Mosaic expedition. So Mosaic expedition was launched in September 2019. In September 2020, it was able to reach North Pole. So it was in news again. Mosaic Arctic expedition reached North Pole. It was not an Indian expedition. इसमें सिर्फ एक इंडियन था. So let's understand what is this Mosaic Arctic expedition. It was a year-round expedition that started in September 2019, and focus was to reach the North Pole. तो नॉर्थ पोल तक ना अभी कोई बहुत बड़ा डिवाइस और वो सारी चीजें नहीं पहुंची थी फॉर स्टडीज एंड ऑल. तो अंडर दिस एक्सपेडिशन दे टुक अ मॉडर्न रिसर्च आइस ब्रेकर laden with scientific instrument close to North Pole. Modern research icebreaker. Ice break because they had to take this whole ship kind of thing there. So they have taken it टू डू बेटर रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट। तो इसमें टोटल खर्चा जो हुआ था वो 140 मिलियन यूरोस का है एंड this project has been designed by an international consortium of leading polar research institutions led by Alfred Wegener Institute. तो मोजाइक का जो फुल फॉर्म है, इट इज मल्टी डिसिप्लिन ड्रिफ्टिंग ऑब्जर्वेटरी। व्हाई इट इज ड्रिफ्टिंग ऑब्जर्वेटरी? या इस ब्रेक कर करके ड्रिफ्ट करते हुए वहां जा रहा है फॉर द स्टडी ऑफ आर्कटिक क्लाइमेट। आइडिया इज वहां पे रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट करना, क्लाइमेट के बारे में, मैग्नेटिज्म के बारे में, बाकी सारी चीजों के बारे में। लास्ट ईयर it was in news because there was only one Indian who was going on this expedition. This year it was in news in September 2020. It was in news because it had completed 1 year and it had reached. तो मोजाइक एक्सपेडिशन के बारे में ब्रीफली कुछ पता होना चाहिए। Now some topics that we have done already, उसके कुछ अपडेट्स है। कोस्टल इरोजन हमने किया है क्या पहले? नहीं किया ना कोस्टल इरोजन? हाँ, अब अभी कोस्टल इरोजन वाज इन न्यूज। Union Minister of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Parshottam Rupal, have said that 32% of India's coastline is under varying degree of 32% of India's coastline is under varying degree of erosion. 27% is of accreting nature. Accreting मतलब वो erosion का उल्टा accrete हो रहा है, बढ़ रहा है, whereas 41% is stable. So for us the concern is this 32% of India's coastline which is eroding. For this purpose it was in news. So what is coastal erosion? You understand? जो land या beach है coast पे वो erode हो रहा है because of the wave action, right? So it is wearing away of land and removal of beach and dune sediments by wave action or by tidal current, by wave current, by drainage or by high winds. तो मैंने सिर्फ wave action बोला, but a lot of other things may be contributing to coastal, even wind, sea breeze, land breeze, this goes on, they also contribute to the erosional. It's also. Now what are the factors that influence erosion? There are several factors. For example, there are some primary factors. How easy it is to erode the sea facing rock, the type of rock which is there. That will play an important role. Like rock strength kitna hai, are there presence of fissures there, are there fractures there, bed that is of non-cohesive material or is it of cohesive material. All these things would play a role in the erosion of the coastal area. Then power of the wave, how strong the waves are. Beaches, generally when beaches are there, beach slows down the impact of waves, जो बाकी लैंड एरिया को नेगेटिवली अफेक्ट नहीं होने देता है. प्लेसेस वेयर बीचेस आर नॉट देयर, देयर इरोजन हैपेंस फास्टर because the water is directly able to hit the rock or the other land area. So whether beaches are present there or not, adjacent bathymetry kaisa hai, that will also play a role. Then there are secondary factors, weathering and transport, slope process, slope hydrology, vegetation is there or not, what human activities are there, and then resistance of cliff foot to sediments to attrition and transport. So cliff foot kitna resistant hai attrition and transport, that will also play a role. Then there are tertiary factors, resource extraction like mining activities, or what you are doing, how you are doing, how you are managing it, and how effectively coastal management is happening in a particular country would decide whether coastal erosion would take place or not. Okay, but what will be the impact of erosion? Coastal erosion ho raha hai. So see, a big large population, many large cities in the world are located on the coast. Notice a very interesting thing. One of the key reasons South Indian states do very well, they are doing better than North India in terms of economy, in terms of education, in terms of other things. Uska ek major factor hota hai they being located on the coast. There is a big huge advantage of being located on the coast. You can participate in international trade easily. So jo import exporting companies hongi, they will establish their centers there. Manufacturing companies would want कि वो उनका वहीं पे center रहे. So when land trade was more important in ancient India, then North India was much more prosperous than South India. Can you understand this? But as sea trade becomes important, South India हो रहा है. तो what we are saying कि negative impact क्या होगा coastal erosion का? Negative impact होगा these people getting affected, their land becoming less, cities which are located on the coast would get negatively hampered. अब सोचो मुंबई में coastal erosion हो रहा है और 100 मीटर लैंड कम हो गया पूरे मुंबई, कितना बड़ा इम्पैक्ट होगा. Then this is not the only loss. Generally, when erosion takes place, coastal erosion takes place, sea water is able to penetrate more areas. It may get into freshwater resources. It may degrade land area. जहाँ पे सी वाटर अभी सॉल्ट वाटर पहुंच नहीं पाया है, that area may be fertile, but if sea water is able to penetrate there, it may degrade that. तो उसके अपने negative implication on food security, on other aspects would be there. Okay, so what can be done to deal with coastal erosion? One is hard erosional control, where you create a sea wall or where you create a groins, a set of groins. So what are sea walls and groins? ये बता देते हैं. Let's say this is our land area and this is ocean, and let's say a city is located here. So because of coastal erosion, the city is starting to getting affected. So they can create what is called a wall here. Wave का impact wall पे पड़े, city impact हो ही ना. This is one way of fighting coastal erosion. Or they can create what are known as groins. Groins are these kind of structures. These kind of 90-degree vertical structures. It will slow down the impact of waves. Waves आ रही होंगी, break हो जाएंगी because of these groins. So this is hard control structure, but it has a number of limitations. The seawall needs to be refurbished or rebuilt. जब mountain and rock gets degraded, seawall की क्या औकात है? Then it interferes with natural water currents. Naturally, the water should have reached here. It is interfering with that. It prevents sand from shifting along coastline. It's not only that they have created a wall to protect humans, but everything has been disturbed. But more importantly, this area has been protected, but the wave, the water will go on this. More floods may happen on this. More salination may happen on this side. More erosion may happen on this. Sea walls have these limitations. Then there are soft erosional control mechanism, where you go for temporary options. For example, beach nourishment or putting in sandbags. So here what you do, instead of creating sea wall, यहाँ पे beach है, you will provide more sand in the beach. Put in more sand in the beach. This is beach nourishment. कहीं और से sand लेके आओ, beach पे डालो. So that when erosion is taking place, they are taking away some sand. Next year you'll put some more sand there. Next year you'll put some more sand there. Or you put sand bags. प्लास्टिक के जो बैग्स आते हैं उसमें डाल के सैंड वहां पे डाल दिया. Can it temporarily reduce the erosion? Yes, it can reduce the erosion. So advantages देखोगे, it restores and widens recreational beaches. Structure behind the beach is also protected, and beach nourishment doesn't leave hazards on the beach, as is the case with walls. जब आप wall create कर रहे हो तो वो wall break होता है तो it leaves hazards and all those things. But यहाँ पे when you are putting sand on the beach, it will not leave any hazards. Okay, beach का widening हो सकता है, protection तो होगा erosion से, and it will not leave any hazard. But there are some disadvantages also. The sand generally has smaller life. It will get eroded easily. A continuous refurbishing may be required here, and thus it would be expensive. Further, the grain size is different of the sand which is already there and sand which is coming from out. It creates its own problem. वो अच्छे से mix नहीं हो पाते हैं, and it creates its own issues. And the third तरीका is relocation. Move away from the coast. Move human settlements away from the coast. दिस इज वन अनदर थिंग दैट कैन बी डन. तो सिचुएशन इन इंडिया हमने डिस्कस ही किया. इट वाज इन न्यूज कि अबाउट 32% ऑफ इंडियाज कोस्ट लाइन इज फेसिंग वेरिंग डिग्री ऑफ इरोजन. एंड देखते हैं इसे हम कैसे मैनेज करेंगे. All three options we have discussed. Okay, now there are some other updates. This is Kaziranga National Park. We have already studied. We know it's in Assam. It's known for rhino. Almost 2/3 of the world rhino are found here. It's also known for very high tiger density. It's located on the southern coast of Brahmaputra. On the left bank of Brahmaputra, on the south of Brahmaputra river, a number of rivers flow through it. ये सब हमने पढ़ा हुआ है on the map where it's located. Recently, it became the first national park where officials have been provided with, what have they been provided with? Officials have been provided with satellite. जो poachers से लड़ रहे हैं, बाकी जो officials हैं who are protecting this Kaziranga, they have been provided with satellite phones. Kaziranga has become the first national park in India to have been equipped with satellite phones. It will boost their anti-poaching activities because there are lots of parts of Kaziranga where network is not available, telephone network is not available, or it's very poor. So it will help them better coordinate and all. So Assam State Disaster Management Authority has procured 10 satellite phones for Kaziranga at a cost of 16 lakh rupees. The park authorities will bear the monthly expense for the service provided by Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited for these satellite. Okay. Parul is asking, sir, most of the coastal erosion is happening in which side, eastern or western? बेटा ये तो मैंने पढ़ा नहीं है, ये मैंने पढ़ा नहीं है, बट यहाँ यश बैठा है, यश बोल रहा है कि ईस्टर्न में उड़ीसा में सबसे ज्यादा हो रहा है. ओके, आदर्श इज सेइंग, सर बुकलेट 17 ऑफ EBCC द सेक्शन ऑफ कोरल ब्लीचिंग एंड ऑल हैव नॉट बीन डिस्कस्ड. कोरल ब्लीचिंग वाला कर लेंगे यार, वो भी कर लेंगे, मुझे बता दो, नेक्स्ट क्लास में वो भी कर लेंगे. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट क्लास जो हम एनवायरमेंट का लेंगे उसमें आई मेक श्योर दैट कोरल बीचिंग एंड एक शायद आप लोगों ने बोला था कोस्टल जोन्स वाला, वो आपके नोट्स में है, CRZ कोस्टल रेगुलेशन जोन, वो आपके नोट्स में मैंने दे दिया है पर कराया नहीं था तो कुछ बच्चों को समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. विल डू दैट आल्सो. ओके, तो पहले ये तो खत्म कर लें. तो काजीरंगा नेशनल पार्क हैज बिकम वन सच नेशनल पार्क. देन एलिफेंट एंडोथेलियोट्रोपिक हर्पीस वायरस. तो देखो, एलिफेंट के बारे में हमने सब पढ़ लिया है. इट इज एंडेंजर्ड, कहाँ पे किस स्टेट में ज्यादा मिलता है, कितने एलिफेंट्स हैं, एलिफेंट रिजर्व्स, वी हैव स्टडीड ऑल दोस थिंग्स, वेरियस स्कीम्स प्रोग्राम्स रिलेटेड टू एलिफेंट्स. एक अपडेट था अबाउट दिस डिजीज, EEH, एलिफेंट एंडोथेलियोट्रोपिक हर्पीस वायरस, EEHV. So recently, wild elephants in Odisha forest have tested positive for herpes. Earlier, in July 2021, an 8-year-old female elephant had died of this virus under the Hindol forest range in Odisha's Thinkal Reserve Forest. In 2019 also, 5 elephants had died within 33 days because of this EEHV. So what is this herpes EEHV? It's a herpes virus type which is which causes highly fatal hemorrhagic fever in young Asian elephants. It's one of the deadliest viral infection and mostly impact Asian elephant, the type of elephant which is found in India. There is no cure available for this, and other than providing symptomatic treatment, there is not much you can do, and thus it's highly fatal. So in India past में भी cases आए थे, for example नंदनकानन zoo में आया था and all, but जब cases wild में आने लगते हैं, it becomes a cause of concern. It is contagious, it's highly fatal. और वाइल्ड में आप कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते कौन सा एलिफेंट किससे मिल रहा है, एंड दैट्स व्हाई इट वाज इन न्यूज रिसेंटली. ठीक है, 10th of August इज सेलिब्रेटेड एज वर्ल्ड लायन डे, तो इस वजह से ये पर्टिकुलर चीज न्यूज में था. तो वर्ल्ड लायन डे वाज ब्रेन चाइल्ड. तो वी हैव कवर्ड एवरीथिंग एल्स अबाउट लायन, कि कहां मिलते हैं, वो सारी चीजें हमने कवर की हुई है. दिस इज एन अपडेट व्हिच वी वांटेड टू कवर. इट्स वर्ल्ड लायन डे वाज अ ब्रेन चाइल्ड ऑफ डेरेक एंड बेवरली जोबर्ट. दे आर अ कपल who are very much interested in lion, and they initiated this 10th of August being celebrated as World Lion Day. So they began the initiative in 2013, bringing together National Geographic and Big Cat Initiative. So they now work to conserve lions and make people aware about significance of lion. Then a vision document for conserving Assam temple turtle was launched in June 2021. So वी हैव स्टडीड अबाउट ब्लैक सॉफ्ट शेल टर्टल, राइट? हमने पहले बोला था एक्सटिंक्ट है, बट रिसेंटली ब्रह्मपुत्र रिवर में वाइल्ड में भी मिल गया है, तो दे आर नाउ क्रिटिकली एंडेंजर्ड। पहले हमने बोला था इट इज एक्सटिंक्ट इन वाइल्ड, ओनली फाउंड इन temples of Assam, right? But now it is critically endangered. It has been found in rivers of Brahmaputra. Okay, so to protect this black soft shell turtle, this temple, Hayagriva Madhav Temple of Assam, it has signed an MOU with two NGOs, Turtle Survival Alliance and Help Earth. In this MOU, there are other partners also, Assam State Zoo, cum Botanical Garden and Kamrup District Administration. They have signed this MOU for long-term conservation of rare freshwater black soft-shell turtle, also called Nilosonia nigricans. ये मैंने यहाँ पे EW लिखा हुआ है, extinct in wild. Please correct it. It is critically endangered. CR. It's not extinct in wild anymore. It is critically endangered. CR. Okay. So along with this MOU, a vision document was also launched by Turtle Survival Alliance and Help Earth. तो ये जो दो एनजीओ हैं जिन्होंने एमओयू साइन किया है, इन्होंने ये विजन डॉक्यूमेंट भी रिलीज किया है कि बाय 2030 हाउ विल वी प्रोटेक्ट द स्पीसीज। So this temple, Hayagriva temple, which is located in 30 kilometers from Guwahati, is a temple which is revered by both Hindus and Buddhists, and the species Nilosonia nigricans or black softshell turtle is now back to critically endangered list. Earlier it was extinct in wild because wild में नहीं मिल रहा था, फिर सिर्फ temples में मिल रहा था, temples के ponds में मिल रहा था. Now it is back to critically endangered. So its sighting was seen in Brahmaputra reverse drainage in Assam. इससे पहले it was only found in pond temples of northeastern India, Bangladesh. That's why it was extinct wild. Fine. तो आज यहाँ रुकते हैं, ठीक है. अभी आई एम नॉट प्रॉमिसिंग यू अ क्लास टुमारो एज सच, तो कल थोड़ा सा आराम कर लें दो, 3 दिन से क्लासेस हो गई हैं. परसों आई विल टेक अ क्लास जहाँ पे ये खत्म कर, ठीक है. टुमारो यू हैव अ टेस्ट, फुल 100 क्वेश्चन टेस्ट ऑन पॉलिटी. आपका पॉलिटी हो गया है तो पॉलिटी का एक फुल टेस्ट है. लक्ष्मीकांत अच्छे से रिवाइज करो, करंट अफेयर्स अच्छे से रिवाइज करो. डू अ टेस्ट टुमारो. ऑन ट्यूसडे विल फिनिश दिस एस्पेक्ट जो भी पेंडिंग है एनवायरमेंट के बारे में. तो 2 मेजर चीजें पेंडिंग है, अदर देन द ऐसे छोटे मोटे अपडेट्स जो मैं दे रहा हूँ, इसके अलावा 2 मेजर चीजें पेंडिंग है. एक है ओजोन लेयर डिप्लीशन और एक है एनवायरमेंटल इंपैक्ट. तो दोनों 1 घंटे के अंदर हो जाएंगी. ये दोनों चीजों के अलावा ऐसे छोटे मोटे अपडेट्स आते रहेंगे. विल कीप डूइंग इट सो दैट यू हैव दैट कॉन्फिडेंस कि जितना हमें आता है एनवायरमेंट और किसी को नहीं आता. इवन अगस्त के अपडेट्स मैंने आपको दिए हैं यहाँ पे. आई विल कीप अपडेटिंग दिस. ओके, चलिए, थैंक यू वेरी मच गाइस.